going to be a good day with a number of different athletes on the gym floor. One in particular we're going to be filming today is one of my longer term athletes, Tash. She's been a long time athlete, and I think it's probably important to have that context going into a session, knowing what type of coaching and what type of coach you're going to be with someone that you've been with for a long time. Traditionally, the longer you're with someone, the more they understand you, the more you understand them and the way they function. I think a lot of young coaches will tend to add in just words, sentences, this need to justify what they're doing, justify why they're there or why they're needed. Sometimes it makes them look poor as a coach because they're just rambling, and often you can actually confuse an athlete. So a hell of a lot of analogies that I no longer can kind of use with younger athletes because they haven't seen it. Disturbing to admit that this wasn't actually an athlete, but one of our staff members, shout out Soph, didn't even know who Harrison Ford was. So it makes it really hard when an individual doesn't even know who Harrison Ford is, to be able to use, say, an Indiana Jones reference, which I used to use quite substantially when coaching a drop jump. Instead of someone stepping down off the box, they kind of step out onto the force plate. And I would kind of use the analogy of in Indiana Jones when he takes the leap of faith, where he just steps straight out onto the invisible bridge. Again, for those that have seen it, and for those that actually know who Harrison Ford is, it's a cracking analogy and used to work really well. But if the individual doesn't even know who Harrison Ford is, it's unlikely they're going to know the reference. So updating analogies, understanding who you're working with, the generational differences as well. And this goes for even young coaches that are working with older athletes. I was a 19-year-old personal trainer, and I was working with some 45, 50-year-old participants at the time then, not athletes per se, but pretty active individuals, and good to coach, good to work with. But what I use in my language is going to be sometimes disconnected from what they know. So the ability as a coach to be a chameleon and really adapt to the age barrier, the interest barrier, the sporting context. As every sport's slightly different. They've all got their little mannerisms and their little in-jokes and stuff like that. So it's important to start to get a grip on that and be able to adapt. And again, more experience brings more of this knowledge, but ultimately keeping it front of mind, knowing that you've got to be able to find your way through this language barrier, this communication side of things is really important. So something to keep in mind, and again, hopefully something that you can see start to come through with the different athletes I work with, the different ways I coach, and although I'm still myself, I'm still going to be that type of coach, and people know me as who I am, but I will definitely change the way I act, sometimes the communication strategies and the language I use based on the athletes. So we're about to jump in with Tashi on the gym floor today. She's really at the business end of her competition season. She's got a couple of comps over the next 4 to 6 weeks, and then a 4-week prep into the major work, which is the stall gift. So she's a pro sprinter, which means she sprints off a handicap. Doesn't always do it on a track surface, often on a grass surface. Her history is actually she was a beach sprinter. So for those that kind of know sprinting and know beach sprinting, the way that foot reacts to the sand is quite different to a hard surface. So over the past sort of 5 to 6 years, we've certainly redeveloped a few things in the way she moves. So today, this is the first session of the week. She had a big track session last night, a little bit sore around the hammy tendon, but seems like it's coming good. So we'll get her into a little bit of testing to see how she's going after the previous block she's done, and then we'll get stuck into a pretty serious session today. Good pause. Well done. Fuck yes. Like an 18-year-old stock investor, you're locked in. Locked in. Have you seen that? Fucking on Instagram, all these 18 to 20-year-olds, they're just like, I'm locked in, making money, give up social life, fucking lock it in. Nah. You're too old.
Like the younger kids say in a lot of training.
Yeah, locked in.
They're like, I'm locked in. Like, what's that mean?
Yeah, explain that to me.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Oh, for those playing at home as well, you might notice that Tashi is representing strong. We brand all our athletes.
I'm never allowed to leave.
Yeah, exactly. Nowhere else.
Yeah.
Good. Pop. Well done. Well done. Yeah. Well done. Well done. Good. Apart from like the second loss of balance, the locking's really good.
Yeah, it's
Really
just
good.
remembering that, like,
Yeah. Everything gets up. Yeah.
you know. I was throwing my nerves were like sore, and I was trying to explain it. I was like, that was just like.
Which is actually a pretty accurate description. Yeah. Yeah. Straight neural. When people get the cue, be quick off the ground, they often hunt the ground and try and land quickly. That doesn't change anything. Wait for it and then attack just before. Yeah. Huh? Just didn't have the impact to get the height. Yeah, well done. Not bad. Good. Good start. Lift. Good. Pop. Good. Keep thinking short aggressiveness. Really aggressive for a very short amount of time. Relax, then get violent. Same as when you're running. Relax to violence. Yeah, lovely, good. Good. Yeah, yeah. Well, because remember, this is not training this. It's training the moment that you load. It's hitting that angle right there, where we now need vertical projection. To get there is everything else, but we're just getting that good. Yeah. It's okay, reset. Good. Well done. How's the knee feel doing that one?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, good. That's a good sign.
Just wanted to take a quick minute to say thank you to our sponsors, Lumen. They've been absolutely amazing with the setup of this new YouTube channel and also obviously what they do for us around the facility. We never partner with people that we don't already use and already value. So it's really important to understand that the reason that we came on with Lumen is because we want to be able to give back to everyone else and make sure that they realize really elite partners that they can also utilize and also who we believe are the best software company in the game. Everything we do around Lumen and the implementation of their program system allows us to be better, allows it to be better for our athletes, and allows our coaches to work smarter. So if you haven't already jumped on Lumen, make sure you check them out. They're a fantastic product, both from an AMS dashboard system, but also just your standalone strength programming. So check them out, give them a go. They're a fantastic company and we've been love working with them. If you jump into the description below, there are links there, so feel free to give it a click.
Yeah, go toilet first before you do more jumping. For those female athletes out there, always go to the toilet before too much jumping. Yeah, in basketball, not in the gym. Not in the gym. Never dribble. Yeah. What do they say? Leakage is not normal. Don't normalize leakage. It's a problem. It signifies an issue. It's a lot of women's health stuff that we're talking about now. Athletes just innately go, oh, I just leak when I jump, or I have leakage when I jump, and they sort of normalize it as normal, but no, that's not normal. Well, sorry, take that. Let me rephrase that. It's common, but because it's common, it's been associated with being normal.
Yeah.
But
It's not like
you
you
should.
don't want to leak every time.
Correct. You want to have a strong enough pelvic floor, and some people just have a cop out as, oh, it's normal, when actually we need to work on it. Yeah. So this is our Vold setup here. A lot of people these days have Vold systems, obviously. Great company, great products, really accessible. It is a massive staple of what we do to make sure that we track what we do, prove that we get results. We are one of the few, if only, companies that have a money-back guarantee. So if you actually don't get results with us, you can come claim your money back. So that's where we back what we do, we trust what we do. And one of the most powerful things about us is we have what would it be, 7, maybe 8 years now of just historical data points. So Every time we jump someone on a force plate, we have that historical data. We've done it for a long time in very similar fashion. So when we compare athletes, we can compare them to thousands of data points, which is a big part of what we do, which we love. Should be on there.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice. Switch over. Is that right?
So you're almost too athletic. Yeah, there's not any heel recovery. So just think more like, if I had to sustain this for a really long time, what am I doing? I'm not actually jumping and pulling up with a heel recovery. I'm actually just having a far softer movement. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I've just nailed our little prep sequence work here. We've got 3 key strength sequences. We're now a low box step up with some aeroplane work. We've just started some loaded work there. Nice explosive Smith machine squat with a Copenhagen, and then finish with our row and GHD lateral flexion. So short, sharp and sweet. So with Tashi, she's being a track athlete, she does quite a bit of plyo work and jump work at the track. So we typically don't do a lot in here. We kind of just do that fine tuning that you've just seen. So usually in this type of sequence, like an A sequence, we can load up real heavy with something, then use a bit of potentiation to then load some sort of jump work. But for her at the moment, keeping her resilient, fresh, good mobility, we'll do a nice basic heavy lift, and then she'll spend her rest period doing some aeroplane hip work to try and keep that back, that hip free. She's got a lot of history of tendinopathy around the hammy, a lot of it sort of neural as well. So trying to keep that back free is really important. For you, it's about getting tall by pushing the hips through.
Yeah, and not just long pushes.
Correct, yeah, not like RDLing it up. Yeah. As in like hinging up. Boom, don't change a thing, just keep doing that. Boom. Lovely. Easy, good intent. Yep.
Okay.
Good. Knee felt okay?
Yeah.
Yep. Good. Well done. That's it. Well done. Good speed. Well done. Slow. Good. Well done. Held. Nothing really to add.
Yeah.
How'd the weight feel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Knee?
Yeah.
Good. Hammy?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mentally.
Yep. Check, check, check. Good. Good. At that point, keep that heel up as you're collapsing. Yeah, good, good. That's it. Yeah, so keep twisting down, drop the hips. That's it, then open up. Lovely. Feel that right femur in the hip just twisting around. Good. Well done. So just soften the left knee a little bit. Yeah, good. Yes. Well done. That's it. Good? Okay, really good. Really good. You notice Tashi has Ollie shoes on. People sometimes debate whether you're doing Olympic lifting shoes or not if you're an Olympic lifter. End of the day, whatever makes the most amount of load that you can lift the most effective, I'm gonna do. So in this shoe like mine, spongy, there's no way you're gonna apply force very well. So a nice lifting shoe, providing their feet are good with it and can accommodate it, maximizes the load. That's what we're about. We focus on getting strong in the gym. We don't need to be functional and barefoot and everything for everything. There's certainly times to be barefoot or have a more free shoe, but when it's an A1 key lift, big lift, You want load.
I do feel like I put like 7 years of being like, no, I don't need them, I'm not going to get them.
Yeah.
And then once I had them, I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I wish I got better.
They're my babies.
Yeah, I was like, imagine what you could have been if you had them. Imagine what injuries you would have avoided. Fitness well said, probably.
But it's the greatest fact of all time. Very few things blow my mind, but this blew my mind.
Yeah.
As a human with 2 legs, you have more legs than the average human.
You got 4 legs.
What? What? No. You as a human with 2 legs, you actually have more legs than the average human. Because no human has more than 2 legs, but there's plenty of humans that only have 1 leg. You as a human, you have 2 legs, which is more than the average human. Because if you take the average of all legs in humanity currently, is less than 2. No. At home, they're losing their fucking minds. Jeez, I thought that was good. I'm gonna make a t-shirt. Maybe a hat. Good. All about intent now. Be aggressive to drive. Up. And well done. It might feel slow, but just keep being aggressive through. Good. Reset. Yeah, good. That's okay. Reset. Take your time. Get balance. Good. There we go. Ah, that's the one. Much better. Slow, slow, slow. Yep.
When you're like, it might feel slow, straight in my head was like, does it look slow?
It looks slow, yeah. But it's not meant to be fast. There's a difference between velocity and intent.
Yeah.
You can't have velocity without intent,
Yeah.
but you can certainly have intent without velocity. We're not chasing velocity per se.
Yeah.
We just want, as soon as that plan goes, everything is moving up. We don't want a moment where it slows.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Easy to say, harder to do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Don't feel scared. Like if it feels slow, don't worry.
Yeah.
As long as you got from point A to point B without any negative velocity because it started to beat you, then you're winning. Yeah.
I don't really need stuff because it's not heavy.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier. Just remember, we want to make sure it's rolling off the hip. Yeah, just to leverage that angle. There we go, yeah. Stand right here, that's it. And then let it go down, nice and smooth. Lovely. Open up like that. Yeah, does that feel better or what? So, yeah. As you fall over. Good. That's it. Keep the breathing going, just nice and controlled. That's it. Breathe in at the top, breathe out as you rotate down. That's it. As you're down, keep that heel up. Yep. Yep, yep. Good fight. Well done. Well done. Good. Well done. That's it. Keep that intent. Drive. Well done. Slow. Well done. Yeah. Good. When you switched over, you just lost your timing. When you went.
On the first step or the rest?
No. First leg was good.
Yeah.
And when you switched,
Yeah.
everything had like contracted to
Yeah.
help that side. And then when you switch, you lost a little bit, but that was the only thing. Yeah. So less about actually driving that and more about just sequencing.
Maybe I should start with the right.
Most people start with their strongest and they go to their weakest. And every time people go, I should start with my weakest, they go, so,
Yeah.
nah, you do what you need to do.
Yeah.
But it looks good. Well done. Very smooth. And look better. How do you feel? Huh?
My butt hurts.
Which part of the butt?
Is it whatever the last
Yeah, the glute, like here,
Yeah.
but not up through here. That's good. Rotate down. Whoop. Go work. As long as we're not going too much through here, and it's like lateral, that's good. Yeah. Right. Because it's literally that muscle is kind of what's supporting that hip going over the femur the whole time. So it's pretty normal.
On the GHD
Yeah.
last week, after like that cue, like it was so different.
Yeah,
Like, the back,
good.
like I felt like my back was swollen from working, but
Yeah.
not like
Not like grabby from like extending. Great.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was really
Good. No, it's really good. Gym Aware, this is our choice of option for our velocity-based training work. I'm a massive believer in not putting everything under VBT. Some people are sort of all in or all out. It's another tool. It's fantastic to use, especially when we're chasing velocity measures a little bit more than just pure load. And especially where Tash is in her training block at the moment. She's going heavy, but we don't want it to be so heavy that it's beating her. So there's still a need for a little bit of velocity with it. So it's a linear transducer, which means there's a little sensor in there that measures the speed and distance that this goes. So it measures the speed of this bar. So we can set peak velocity, peak power, mean power, everything in between to gauge how fast that bar's moving and how fast it moves when she's doing it. So if I'm saying go heavy, go heavy, go heavy, I want intent, there's gonna be a breaking point where she just loses velocity. In fact, where as she's driving up, there'll be a moment where the deceleration is so extreme, we're probably not getting the intent we want. So realistically, we use this to try and make sure we can load the hell out of it, but also actually get some intent as well. Up, good. 0.75, perfect, up, up, up. 6.9, drive, yeah, well done. Perfect, 7.3, reset, let's go. Above 0.7 for these ones, up. 7.2, good. 6.5, come on, up, up. 6.3, let's finish it, drive. 6.4, well done, good. No, to be honest, with that, I was just making sure that you're comparable. But I reckon if we can keep above 0.6, so I reckon you were a couple of reps at 7.2, I'm happy at above 0.6 for this intent. So you go a little bit more if you want.
Yeah.
So you can see first four,
They're like high sixes. And
7.5, 6.9, 6.9, 7.3 off your left.
yeah.
And then off your right, 7.2 was the first one, 6.5, 6.3, 6.4.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So it might be your right that'll be the indicator of how much load we go. That's good.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Good. That's it. So now we'll be, hip drop and then squeeze through.
Okay, 10 reps on.
So to be honest, some people do find, even if they have a strong enough adductor, that the tension on their knee, like that medial ligament, they don't like. In which case, we stick to short lever, but then we can load your hip. So let's do 12 reps for me. So we'll double it if it's still too easy. 12 left, 12 right. Let's see how you feel. I'll be inclined probably just to stick to that, see how you feel. But then we can probably put some weight on your hip.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been focusing on just squeezing this to lift up, so rather than like my hips, bring my hips up, but also like squeezing.
Your bottom leg or your top leg?
I don't know, one of them.
Yes. So you'd be,
I'm squeezing.
you're spot on, but top leg, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Your bottom leg's just like a floating leg.
Yeah.
You'll feel tension in your adductor, but you should be driving from your top adductor.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Set, so drop down and then square. Push that left knee into the bench to get up. Yeah, good. Good. Just hold for like a 1 count at the top. After you do a bit of chiropractic masturbation.
A little practice.
Squeeze through, good. That's it. Push into that bench, get to, there we go. Yeah, lovely. Oh no. I like that. I like that.
Definitely burn on those last 2 reps.
That's good, really good. Nothing changes, touch a little bit more weight, but all the intent remains, okay? Let's see how we go. Reset.
5 kilos one.
Up. Well done. Drive again. Push through, good. Up. There, well done. Finish it. Good work. Pause, have a rest. So, like I said, you still managed to get a 6.5 on that third. So you can do it. 4.9, getting adjusted.
Yeah.
A 5.5 I'm well happy with, and a 5.8 I'm well happy, but that was 6.5 was really good. So, deep breath, reset. Keep that intent. Up, yeah. Woohoo! Boom! Up, come on, that's it. And again, reset. Come on, drive it through. Yeah. Please. 7.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.5. All great.
Yeah.
So, it is important to understand this is peak velocity.
Yeah.
So this is what I was saying to you, sometimes we change our targets.
Yeah.
Peak velocity is in that whole distance, the fastest instantaneous moment you had. So at any one point, you were at 0.73. That was the fastest you got to.
Yeah.
It's not the average. Doesn't mean you were 0.73 the whole way through.
Yeah.
So when we've got short directing here where it's just about intent,
Yeah.
means really good.
Yeah.
If you're doing like an Olympic lift where there's varying speeds,
Yeah.
so for example, I'm pulling from the floor and coming through, if you want to just understand how fast you got in that middle point, you'd use peak
Yeah.
versus like mean velocity.
Yeah.
Because mean velocity smooths it out and doesn't account for little changes.
Yeah.
So we can change the short one to mean velocity when we say, you know what, I want you to be fucking fast the whole way through.
Yeah. Okay.
At the moment, I just need you to have intent. I want you to just find a moment where you're moving at that
Yeah,
speed.
okay. So the 0.7 is like that's the fastest speed that I've
Correct.
Okay,
But if I go to mean velocity, it's going to make you really hurt
Yeah.
because you're like, oh, it's all lower
Yeah.
because it's averaged out the whole thing. But we'll look at what that looks like over the next week or two. But for where we are in your program, I'm to be honest, I don't think it's worth it. I just want to see you get to the fastest moment in time.
Yeah,
That's it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Just have intent. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. When we're talking about VBT, like I said, it's not the be all and end all. It just gives us another measure. I think in an athletic population, load or the weight you're lifting is good, but it's not the be all and end all because we understand how they're lifting it. We want to understand how an athlete can produce force, how they can actually produce velocity, and then most importantly, which I believe is the most important factor, is what we call impulse, where we look at not only the amount of force they produce and the speed, but how much force they can produce quickly. Meaning you may not use 100% of your force in 1 second, but if we can use 80% of your available force in 1 second, that's better than being able to use 100% of your force over, say, 4 seconds. Or anything in an RFD or rate of force development climate, we want to make sure that we're focusing on trying to put a large amount of force in a short amount of time. What that looks like is always different based on the exercise and what the outcome is, but getting caught up on just velocity or just force will eventually come undone for some of your elite athletes that you want to really try and push.
Very far out.
Well, the further you go over the head, the longer the lever. So when you go like this, it shortens the lever, makes it easier, and pulls you forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's in my hip.
Correct. So straight overhead is the hardest option, but it's the best for you because that's what we want. So when you're slouching over, try not to let the hip drop as, there we go, yeah, good. Boom, yeah, good. Well done. Yeah, nice, really nice. You will naturally close the hip to try and reduce the effort of that oblique, that internal, that smaller oblique, and then you'll also throw forward to shorten the lever. We open the hip and get overhead, as opposed to that. Yeah. Last 2 sets. You're flying. Back, that's all you need. Elbows back, rip, good. Good, there. Whoop. Easy. Good. Good, straight overhead, push through, there we go. Good. Well done. Yes, it is. How boring if it was easy. Just be thankful you got more legs than the average human. Well, what are you thankful for? You know, what do you appreciate?
I appreciate my
What are you grateful? I'm grateful. Open up, that's it. Good. Push, that's it. Try not to let this bend too much. Good. Well done. Great press. And rip. Right on. A lot of people probably under prescribe when it comes to lateral work, especially like lateral sling work. As a sprinter, as anyone that's really being quite athletic, this position here, to be able to lift the hip up and use that lateral hip, the lateral oblique work, internal, external, the association of rib cage and pelvis, it's just so important. So when it comes to athletes, especially sprinters, that is a big part of what we do, a lot of lateral work. So when they land, everything you can fight and not lose energy here, you can project in that direction. That's the theory anyway. That's it. Very good. No.
It's hard. It must be.
Yeah, well, I feel like he's perfected it a bit there. Is that the same that does the run? Where he does like the...
But I think he just kicks.
He does, yeah, it's just a single leg run like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, that actually. But look at that. Scouting for civilians.
Yeah, great. Yeah, good angle. Well done. Good. Hip through. And drive. Well done. Get that freeze frame. Finish at the top. Good. Drive. And well done. Good. So wrapped up with Tashi, whenever you're working with sprinters, track and field athletes, as a sole strength and conditioning coach, usually you're just putting a little bit of icing on the cake. Track and field coaches do such a good job. They do such an impressive job with the high-end output. That's what the athletes do. They're a physiological-based athlete. That's the whole premise. It's not really a skill sport that we think of in, say, a team environment where there's a whole heap of things going on. So when working with a sprints coach and working with a track coach, they're fantastic people to work with. They're very involved. So when it comes to this type of stuff, it's really just adding the little bit that maybe they don't get on a track session or have the time to do at track. So for Tashi, especially going to the competition now, it's kind of just making sure we don't fuck her up. We keep a high-end exposure to some good loads. We target some areas that we know that she kind of gets a bit weak on, but the rest is on the track. She's got 4 competitions leading into her big major competition over the next 9 weeks. So now we sharpen the sword and we see how Tashi goes.